Maharaj, we can start.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari.
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 Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari.
Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Shripad, 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 Srila Shripad. Jaya Jaya Shripad.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Shripad, Srila Shripad.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Srila Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Jaya Gurudev, 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 Srila
Nittai
Gurudev.
Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nittai Gaura Hari Bol, Nittai
Nitai
Gaura.
Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Nitai Gauranga Premanande Hari 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 Bol. Bolo Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe Shyam. Nitai Gauranga Bhagwan, Jai Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet. नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी. Welcome everyone in this wonderful transcendental program of Srimad Bhagavatam study, part of the Bhagavad Dharma. And we are in 7th canto, chapter 5, entitled Prahlad Maharaj, the saintly son of Hiranyakashipu. So, today text number 3, and Narad Muni is describing the activities and how, what Prahlad Maharaj went through. So today, during his childhood and during his education. So today shloka is Yattatra Guruna Proktam Shushruvenu Na Sadhu Manasamene Sveparasat Sveparashat Grihashayam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanarvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Prahlada certainly heard and recited the topics of politics and economics taught by the teachers. But he understood that political philosophy involves considering someone a friend and someone else an enemy. And thus he did not like it. Responsibly, please. Prahlada certainly heard and recited Nobody? Okay. Prahlada certainly heard and recited the topics of politics and economics taught by the teachers, but he understood that political philosophy involves considering someone a friend and someone else an enemy, and thus he did not like it.
But he understood that political philosophy involves considering someone a friend and someone as an enemy, and thus he did not like it.
Very good. Purport. Politics involves accepting one group of men as enemies and another group as friends. Everything in politics is based on this philosophy of duality. And the entire world, especially at the present, is engrossed in it. The public is concerned with friendly countries and friendly groups, or enemy countries and enemy groups. But as stated in Bhagavad Gita, A learned person does not make distinctions between enemies and friends. Devotees especially do not create friends and enemies. A devotee sees that every living being is part and parcel of Krishna. Mamaivanshu jivaloke, jivabhuta. Therefore, a devotee treats friends and enemies equally by trying to educate them both in Krishna consciousness. Of course, atheistic men do not follow the instructions of pure devotees, but instead consider a devotee their enemy. Wow, what a paradox. A devotee, however, never creates a situation of friendship and enemy. Although Prahlad Maharaj was obliged to hear the instructions of Shanda and Amaraka, he did not like the philosophy of friends and enemies, which forms the basis of politics. He was not interested in this philosophy. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Swarupa Damodar Swami Niti Namine Namasat Bhakta Manaye Manipurudbhavaya Cha Srila Prabhupada Sadvani Prachara Niratayate Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Shri Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Pranashanam Pranamo Dukkha Shamanas Tam Namami Harim Param Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. So here, wonderful transcendental quality, transcendentally disposed. Disposition of Prahlad Maharaj is wonderfully described here, Srila Prabhupada. Towards the end, he says, although Prahlad Maharaj was obliged to hear the instructions of Shanda and Amaraka, he did not like the philosophy of friends and enemies, which forms the basis of politics. So under the circumstances, because in this material world comprising the three modes of material nature, the onslaught attack of the three modes will be there. But a person like Prahlad Maharaj, who is transcendental to because he is a pure devotee, so his behavior, how he reacts and how he tolerates and situation. So that's very wonderfully described in Bhagavad Gita. Srila Prabhupada uses the reference of Bhagavad Gita. In Bhagavad Gita, a learned person means ultimately a pure devotee. The dhira, one who is transcendental to the influence of the modes, three modes of material nature. A learned person does not make distinctions between enemies and friends. Wow, that's a very big statement. Arjuna, when he became also very much interested, in becoming or to transcend the three modes of material nature. That's why he asked questions. So in the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, Arjuna asked this question to, what is the question? Kari lingaistrin. Kari lingaistrin. Linga means the symptoms. Kari lingaistrin gunanetan atito bhavati prabhu. Kimacharya katham chaitam stin gunan ati vartate. So this is very, very significant question asked by Arjuna Bhagavad Gita. And here we are trying to appreciate the transcendental position of Prahlad Maharaj accordingly. So in reply, when Krishna says that how the three modes they come, one has to face them. Now how one reacts, that really matters. So Prahlad Maharaj also had to face all these three modes. So, very, very his transcendental position becomes highlighted. That in spite of being forced to face the three modes, he remained transcendental. How to attain that position, that status? So what Krishna says, prakasham cha pravrittim cha moham eva cha pandava. Correct? In replying to that question, what Krishna says, prakasham cha pravrittim cha moha evam cha pandava. So prakasham cha, that is the influence or the effect of mode of goodness. Correct? Prakasham cha. Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakashakam anamayam sukha sangena badhnati jnana sangena chanaka. So this is the influence of a mode of goodness. Prakasham, enlightening. Means, so, but illumination. So this is very interesting that he does not hate. Prakasham cha pravrittim cha. Pravritti is the influence of the mode of passion. Correct? Pravritti, inspired to get something, motivated. Pravritti, mode of goodness, mode of passion. And moha. Moha is the influence of the mode of ignorance. So these things on their own accord, they come across. But even when we face their effect, under the circumstances, like you are put in a situation where somebody's life is devastated, like accident or many things. If we are in the vicinity, we do feel the influence, correct? We just don't, we cannot immediately separate ourselves from the immediate impact. But that is only because the onslaught attack of these three modes under different time, place, and circumstances. So a person who is transcendental over all this, even when he faces them, he does not become overwhelmed. Now one wonders that this, when illumination takes place, na dveshti. What is the question? Dveshti means hating or na dveshti sam pravittani. When they appear, he does not hate any of them. Now we can understand. Pravitti means under the circumstances, one may be forced to do certain things which he does not like, but he does not hate. Well, the circumstances put one to act in a particular way. He faces, but he does not become trapped by it, or doesn't just become engrossed with the pravitti or the activity, or he does not become overwhelmed by any situations, which is moha cause means infatuation or something, lamentation, all these things. So the three modes, when they show their influence, he does not hate them. He just takes them as it comes. He does not run away from them or anything like that. But at the same time, Na nivittani kankshati. Nor does he just not only he does not hate elimination or activity or delusion when they occur, nor does he long for them to cease. Na nivrittani. He says, oh, how long I have to remain stuck in this position? Because the character of Prahlad Maharaj will be highlighted in this chapter, and so the instructions which we can see the Krishna defines the transcendental position of a devotee. The three modes. It's not that he becomes aloof from them, but aloof in consciousness, in action, in appearance. He may appear to be participating in it, correct? But it is the nadveshtinasam. So this is like a subjective situation of a person. Because why it is subjective? Because it is depends on a particular individual sadhaka, how sensitive he becomes to the effect of these three modes. Because even when we stay calm, we don't express what is in our mind, correct? Whether we are hating somebody, maybe appearing, whether we hate or we hate our situation, or we just want to run away, but we cannot. But on the externally, we just stand calm, which is not the inner calmness of our heart. So in the description, so this is something very subjective thing of a sadhaka. But even objectively speaking, Krishna described in the next three shlokas, objectively, that one can, because the question is, what is the question? That kimachara, how he behaves. So behavior is visible, correct? What is the inner conscience? What is going on within his, how he's reacting? It is whether he has transcended the effect of the modes. It's something very subjective, which every sadhaka can analyze his own situation, how far he is transcended, or he is feeling he's really hating his situation, certain things, and he is craving how to get out of them. But Prahlad Maharaj, as we know, that he faced through, he just went through all these situations and remained transcendental. And that will be demonstrated by his, objectively speaking, his acharan, how he does. So Krishna says, Udasin vadasino gunayona vichalate. Considering guna guneshu vartante iti matvana yovat tishtati ningati. He does not become flickering or agitated. Then sama dukkha sukham dhira. Srila Prabhupada is quoting this. A sober person, transcendent person, is equipoised. Sama dukkha sukham swasta sama loshtasma kanchane tulya priya priyo dhiras tulya ninda atma samstuti. Then tulya priya priyo dhiras tulya nindatma manapa manayos tulya tulyo mitra arirupya. This is exactly. Wow, he is equipoised towards mitra. So-called mitra means someone who is favorably inclined towards us. We consider him friend. And one who is unfavorably inclined, we consider him enemy. But Prahlad Maharaj, he was not in duality. He was not making any distinctions between enemies and friends. So this behooves, this is expected on the part of every devotee, because devotee represents, is supposed to represent the Prahlad Maharaj. So we are all representative of Prahlad Maharaj. So devotees, we do not create, discriminate between, so this is my friend and this is my enemy. This is the whole chaotic situation, even when we come on this path of pure devotional service, transcendental, still these tendencies of seeing somebody favorable to us as friend and one who is unfavorable, or one who does not agree with me, to see him as enemy, even among the sadhakas, distancing somebody and embracing somebody. But if everybody is part and parcel of Krishna, how can we afford to hate someone? Or how can we attach to someone? Because attachment comes when personal interest is served. And when personal interest is baffled, then whosoever causes that, we can say his enemy, he is against me. He does not like me, so I don't like him. But as part and parcel of Krishna, we are supposed to treat everybody, not what others were in the past. This point on the part of the sadhaka is very essential. Even when we look at people, or those who are known to us, our treatment should be as a devotee, look at what he can become, not what he was, positive or negative, whether he was favorable to us or unfavorable to us, and even the present time, whether he is favorable to us or unfavorable to us. But we must focus on the potential. Potentially, he also has the potential as a human being to become a pure devotee. So this is the whole focus of a sadhaka in our dealing amongst the devotees, and even while dealing outside devotee communities, non-devotee community. Because Prahlad Maharaj's example is very, very exemplary. Because on this path of pure devotional service, especially for us, speaking among us, we are all gold medalists. This concept, this awareness is very, very essential to always put us in the best of our scruples usage. Everybody on this path of pure devotional service is very rare. Very rare. And he's a potential gold medalist. So if somebody is a gold medalist, potential gold medalist, he is also honored, isn't it? Just one example. If somebody is a prince is a potential king, correct? So he is also honored as a king, although he has not become king yet, but he's on the way to becoming a king. In the same way, every sadhak on this path of pure devotional service has to be perceived, has to be honored, has to be treated as a potential pure devotee. Because this is how we can treat all our fellow devotees, because we could not start treating them as such or others as such, but always expect others to treat us as such, as if we are pure devotees. If I think that I'm a pure devotee, then I have to act accordingly. We fail in the action. Idealize we do things idealistically, But who will begin? Who will do the beginning? Nobody has begun to benefit from this attitude. But the saying says, donation begins at home. One has to start. So one who has started, naturally he will take the lead. So we are all meant to take the lead. It is not that I have assumed, I am. So this assumption, this wrong assumption, especially for the sadhakas, is very dangerous, because any kind of assumption means taking for granted. Taking for granted this, I'm a pure devotee. And then the presumption, then the daring and the audacity presumptuous nature comes out. It's just like the son of a judge, or son of the prime minister, whatever, he assumes that he is as great as his father, or he is also no less than. If he assumes it, of course, others may treat him very nobly, but if he expects and if he assumes that position, that he's as good as his father, judge, or prime minister, anything, then his behavior will be very, very audacious, very, very dangerous. So that cannot be, we cannot, as sadhakas, ultimately, those who are pure devotee and those who really hanker to become pure devotee, they will never claim that they are pure devotees. At least one has to begin with that. But in the conditional or progressive devotional service, oftentimes comparatively we think that we are so great and so advanced, and so we are so advanced that we are pure devotees. And we expect others to treat us as such. But one has to put this principle in practice, set the ideal for others. This is essential. We just cannot assume without putting in action. Our behavior will reflect on it. It's very, very essential. Because otherwise it will remain an impasse unless we act, start treating others. If we are on this journey together, then we must become aware of acknowledging that I am not a pure devotee. This acknowledgement will be so powerful. It will be so wonderful. It will reflect in our behavior. Because otherwise, we may pose as a pure devotee. But the reality is that one who is a pure devotee, one who craves to become a pure devotee, he will never put himself in that dangerous position. Because a pure devotee or a would-be pure devotee, he would not think that he or she is a pure devotee. See the paradox, no? Our genuinely acknowledging that I'm not a pure devotee, it tremendously boosts the possibility of our becoming a pure devotee. So even in our line, the pure devotees, they never claim that he is a pure devotee. Srila Prabhupada never claimed that he is a pure devotee. Srila Sripad never claimed that he is a pure devotee. This paradox is very essential. In our thought, if we are thinking that I'm a pure devotee, I'm very advanced, that very moment we have lost the link. Because this behavior and matters. So our action reflect our inner conscience. This paradox of acknowledging that I'm not a pure devotee. Then he wants to become. Actually, that is the very nature of a pure devotee. He's very much aware that he's not a pure devotee. And one who is not a pure devotee, he may assume that he is a pure devotee. So in our Vaishnava culture is of acknowledgement. Vaishnava purity, perfection of Vaishnavism is in acknowledging only the causeless, unlimited mercy of the Lord and claiming nothing. Conditioning, total claiming. Enlightenment is only acknowledgement. So we have to free ourselves from this claiming attitude, claiming system, and only situate ourselves on the platform of acknowledgement of our eternal dependence. Eternal dependence on and subservience to, what is the concept? Mahaprabhu says, Das Dasan Das. Gopi Bhartu Pad Kamaliyo Das Dasan Das. Gopi Bhartu, Krishna is the maintainer of the gopis. Ultimately, the supreme, supra gopi, param gopi, Srimati Radharani. Those who are under the shelter of Radharani and under their shelter. So this is our path. Our path is acknowledgement of our eternal dependence and subservience to those who are devoted to the service of those who are devoted to Srimati Radharani. And ultimately, why Srimati Radharani? Because this is what Krishna wants, as Mahaprabhu has told us. If you try to attain Krishna ekaki, how much you will be able to please him. If you truly love Krishna, loving Krishna means increasing the joy of Krishna. Then we must become concerned about what gives most joy to Krishna. What is Krishna? What Krishna desires the most? So one who gives Krishna most pleasure, we would want to become subservient to them. That's why Mahaprabhu says, Gopi Bhartu Pada Kamaliyo Dasa Dasam Dasa. Rather than becoming directly servant to Krishna, gopis cause the maximum unlimited joy to Krishna. So our path is to become subservient to those who bring so much joy to Krishna, and subservient to Sabdasa Dasam Das. And when this attitude is developed, then this in the conditional state, feeling insulted, feeling undermined, and all these things will disappear. Because ultimately, who becomes insulted? This thought is for contemplation. Who becomes insulted? One who thinks he is great, or one who is big, but actually he is not, correct? One who thinks he's very small. It's impossible for him to become insulted. If somebody is truly big, like Krishna, can Krishna be insulted? No. Krishna cannot be made smaller, correct? मुझे छोटा दिखा दिया, मुझे छोटा कर दिया. Krishna is so unlimited. He cannot be insulted. Or rather, he cannot feel insulted. Bhaktivedanta Thakur says, one who considers the whole world as his guru, then he can be called Jagat Guru. See the attitude of a true guru, that he thinks the whole world is his guru. That means that he considers himself so small, so insignificant himself. How can he be insulted? Correct? So Guru and Krishna, they never feel that got insulted, because a true Guru thinks everybody else is more important, no less important than him. And Krishna is bigger than the biggest. How can he feel insulted? So Sri Guru cannot feel insulted. because he is situated in his proper consciousness. His conscience and consciousness is the transcendental platform where he does not relate with the effect of the three modes of material nature whatsoever. So one may wonder that this mode of goodness, it causes illumination. Sukha sangena badhnati, because it creates a sense of happiness and sense of that I know, correct? But a transcendental person never claims that he knows. He only acknowledges the causeless mercy. So Prahlad Maharaj, as we will study, is totally, fully dependent on the mercy of his Guru and Krishna, totally feeling protected. And he's not reacting, he's not negating, or he's not fighting with the circumstances he is forced to put because of his age. He has to go to schooling and education by these materialist teachers and all these things. He is not perturbed by them. He's not trying, he's not struggling for self-acceptance. There's a concept. He's not, because his dependence makes him sufficient. But one who is not dependent on, one who is not accepted subservience to Sri Guru and Krishna, for that person, means in the conditioned state, it could be a big struggle. Everybody is struggling for self-acceptance. Self-acceptance causes the addiction to improve on one's own. But the whole idea is, when shall we acknowledge this is the beauty of this transcendental path? That on our own we are not enough. And that's okay. Should we not consider it? The material world, there's so many seminars and so many so-called gurus and even materialist, religionist people gives such kind of teaching. Or you just focus on you, like self-love. Self-centeredness is so much rampant in the society that if you just focus on you, yourself, but the whole idea is if our quest for loving ourselves more actually making us miserable, this question should be asked. Self-centeredness is so rampant. But because the whole atmosphere, the three modes of material nature, the whole Western civilization, the knowledge is very rampant, saying that the key to happiness is self-love. And it has created such a tremendous anxiety, so much unrest in the mind of the people. And don't depend on anyone else or anything. If you just focus on your, love yourself, become successful, secure. If you love yourself, then only you can make yourself secure. But we are incomplete on our own, don't we? Aren't we? We are dependent beings. We have summoned our identity. We don't exist in isolation on our own. In spite of using the means and the common sense that we are dependent on the air, on the water and everything, society. How can we isolate ourselves? So, whatever promised by the modern materialistic society and education, it does not deliver the complete satisfaction because they don't cater to the need of the soul. Only on the bodily platform, on the mental platform, the accomplishments which people have, but ultimately, instead of feeling fulfilled, our pursuit for self-love, because it is rooted in misidentification only with this gross body and the mind. The true identity is ignored. So how a fish out of water, if it tries to struggle for self-improvement outside water, it can go on the velvet pillow, or it may go on the very sand. How long it will stay settled? Momentarily they may feel, yes, they may feel that they have improved, but the whole improvement in the mode of passion, in Rajogun, Rajo Vaikalpikam, in the sense, in the journey of self-improvement, due to misidentification, they can never feel full. Rather, it will be very exhausting. It's an exhausting cycle. Why? Because we cannot find satisfaction inside ourselves. Because we are the problem. What is the problem? Misidentification. We are the problem. We struggle with feelings of inadequacy, because the essential part of our existence, the soul and its need, and it's a swarupa, and what is its final destination, these things remain unanswered. So we become plagued by the sense of inadequacy, because we are inadequate in the misidentification. So, alone, we are not good enough. Alone, we are not smart enough. Alone, we are not beautiful enough. If some most beautiful person, a woman or a man, can she or he be happy if nobody notices how beautiful the person is? Not only external beauty, but even in the thought, in the speech, and everything. The whole idea is one is not enough on his own. But that's all right, no? We are not enough on our own, period. And that's okay. We must not kill ourselves thinking that I'm not enough on my own. But Krishna is Sri Guru, isn't it? The Sri Guru makes us enough, makes us sufficient. Krishna is more than enough. Shelter of Sri Guru is more than enough. No matter what we are through our sanskaras, through our present destiny, our destiny does not define us. Our taking shelter of Sri Guru and Krishna defines us, because it defines our destination. We are not defined by our destiny, which is the present circumstances we are in. Only by connecting to Sri Guru and Krishna, we become enough. We become complete. So, Krishna has arranged everything for us to realize that. And we wonder sometimes, Krishna is with us, Sri Guru is with us, correct? As if like another decoration we have got. Oh, Krishna is with us, Sri Guru is with us. But oftentimes we forget to ask this question: am I with Krishna? Am I with Sri Guru? That wholesome disposition is very much essential. So the answer or the solution to our dilemma, to our insufficiency or our insecurity, isn't becoming self-centered or self-love, but it is love for Sri Guru and Sri Krishna. That will free us from this sense of insufficiency or inadequacy. So in Sri Guru, we are offered a way out of this toxic culture, borrowed from this materialistic atmosphere, Western or Eastern, because now, because of the materialistic onslaught, the influence of the three modes of material nature is so rampant. It has become so toxic. So if we want to free ourselves from it, then we have to, instead of becoming self-centered, we have to find a joyful life of relying on the true shelter, Sri Guru, who is a manifestation of Krishna, the supreme shelter. How we experience the shelter of Krishna, that can be experienced through by taking shelter and the direction and the guidance of the spiritual master. And we don't have to wonder, we don't have to worry about knowing everything. It's not important. All we have to find our focus is to do and to become engaged loyally and devotedly to the person we have taken shelter very willingly. Because Sri Guru and Sri Krishna, they are always there to provide. And they are there. Sri Guru is the missing link, what we have been searching since eternity. So in this lifetime, we must not consider, think of, or evaluate or appraise the importance, value of Sri Guru. It's like casual thing. No. It is the ultimate benediction, ultimate fortune. To realize the beauty, to realize the transcendence, to realize the fully blessedness of Sri Guru. That will cause the perfection of our existence. Otherwise, just as Prahlad Maharaj, how he is situated in that transcendental mood, we must also contemplate. This Prahlad Maharaj's description here is only to invite all of us. Yes, such position, such a consciousness is possible. And one who is dependent on the absolute shelter under, he becomes fearless. So this fearlessness is demonstrated by Prahlad Maharaj, although he is apparently forced to associate with many things, he's aloof from it. So this is a great art, and his only interest is to glorify Krishna, and because of that, he is not worried about his self-acceptance, whether he is accepted, and he is not worrying about self-improvement, because he is sheltered on the absolute platform. All our trouble and all these anxieties because of not realizing the true need of the soul. It's the eternal servant of Krishna. Servant and servant, servant of the servant of Krishna. So that is the necessity we all must capture or understand and inculcate in our system, not only in our thought, not only in our speech, but also in action. It is the action where we lag behind. So thought is very, very nice, but thought, in order to materialize, right, to give its full benefit, if we have transcendental thoughts, we must practice in our mutual behavior exchange among the devotees, among the sadhakas. And even when non-sadhakas, or those who are not in this path, our behavior will reflect our conscience and consciousness. So for self-analysis, it's a great thing that we are studying Prahlad Maharaj and how far we have to go. So these assumptions and presumptions, if they have entered our system, we must clean them. Nothing should be taken for granted. We cannot afford to assume something and take it cheap or we have to, if you value something so high, Krishna's beauty, Sri Guruji's status so high, then our subservience will also attain the absolute truth. So thank you very much, all the Vaishnavas Maharajas, and please come forward to say something, add something. Any question? Hare Krishna.
Any questions for Maharajji? Kindly please raise your hands or unmute yourself if you can and speak.
Our yeah, I was expecting Balramji. Okay, Balramji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam, all Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Please.
Thank you.
महाराज मेरा क्वेश्चन है कि so when we say the scientists, whatever they are doing in this on the material world. So, but I mean, all the devotees, they use those advantages what they get from this material discoveries or everything what the scientists do. So from that sense, we should not discourage, but we should appreciate the effort of the scientists. But at the same time, although that's necessary for the progress towards spirituality, that is not sufficient. So we should maintain a balance between both. So how can we do that? Could you enlighten?
Well, balance will be automatic when the real identity of the soul is the real need of the soul, because taking care of the need of the body, gross body, and the mind, subtle matter, that alone, the progress of the science, no matter how much, it may only trap a person in misidentification. That's the danger, and that's why the study of science must include the subject of the soul and its need. Our existence we cannot afford to ignore the true identity. So the progress of the science, which is very much promising, it has been promising comfort for the body and comfort for the entertainment of the mind. And engrossment in the matter increases, keeps on increasing. So if the devotees, if they take advantage of all this research and all the amenities and things given by science, if we appreciate the need and the contribution of science, but that appreciation should not drown us into thinking that science is so great that because science is incomplete without addressing the science of the soul. the consciousness. And that's why the modern science is incomplete, and that was the whole focus of Guru Maharaj. That he himself was a scientist and he befriended many scientists, honored them, but at the same time he felt very much necessity that somehow to bring across this message. It is not enough. The fulfillment of our human potential is not limited to the advancement of modern science. It's difficult. It is difficult, correct? Because the advancement in the modern science is very concrete, very apparent. And as it becomes more and more apparent, the real need of the soul becomes covered up. So it's a big challenge for you devotees who are from scientific background, because the odds are very much against us. The material world is designed like that. The struggle against the onslaught, these proposals of Maya, and it is very rampant to snatch away your desire to take shelter of anything other than the modern science and its manifestations. It just deprives. It can very easily deprive us from the shelter of the real thing, Krishna, and the path of pure devotional service in Sri Guru. So unless we are very clear about how the three modes, they can baffle us. That's why Krishna says that even in the mode of goodness, when a person comes, acknowledges that, yes, even this knowledge of what is knowledge in the mode of goodness, Atman Atma Vivek, what is matter, what is spirit, even engrossment in this aspect is mode of goodness. It's enlightening. If somebody knows what is what, then it's this enlightenment. Why Krishna says Anagha? Why this? Even that knowledge is mode of goodness, correct? Prakash, enlightenment, illumination, because it binds one to the sukha, to the sense of happiness. Yeah, I'm enlightened, I'm illumined, and I know. So because of his attachment, because of his identifying that illumination is a happiness, and the sense of that I know, this attachment, it causes his attachment to this material world. So he ends up becoming interested in those activities which give him the experience of the sereneness of life. He thinks life is great, life is wonderful, life is very joyful, satisfied. And because of his attachment to this world, he has to take birth again. And that's why this attachment to mode of goodness, scientists and all these philosophers and all these people who are trying to establish the sense of happiness in this material world. So Krishna says to Arjuna, don't identify with that even in mode of goodness. So the Prahlad Maharaj is a perfect example. He's a limit actually. That even under the most dire situations, negative situations, he's not reacting, he's not hating anything, and he's not praying to the Lord, oh Krishna, please help me out of this hell. Got it? Because Prahlad Maharaj he's setting the amazingly wonderful example that if we are sheltered by Sri Guru and Gauranga, we will also become blessed by the same transcendental position.
Yes, Maharaj, very nice. So here when we see from the beginning, we had many, let's say, acharyas who have shown that I mean this the material, when we are living in this material world, we need to do some karma in order to, I mean, go out of this bandhana what we have. And at the same time, when as you spoke, the scientists, what they are doing is basically, I mean, helping. I mean, although they are confined to their knowledge, but I mean that knowledge is helping also the devotees. Let's say, like what we are doing now. We can communicate with each other like that. So all these aspects. So those are quite helpful, even in the progress in the spirituality. So I mean, from that point of view, because I mean, they are thinking that I know everything, and they are confining themselves to that. That's why they are not going towards spirituality. But there is a small barrier, and if they think or if they use their knowledge to go towards spirituality, then that process will be faster, isn't it?
Yeah, but the trap of the three modes is very rampant. Lord Krishna describes, he has taken three positions, three roles Krishna has reserved for himself. Krishna says, Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam Sarvaloka. So if anybody claims to be, wants to become the Bhokta of this material world, that is the nature of the mode of ignorance. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. If one claims to be the Lord and Master and the proprietor over things, you know, that's mode of passion, because that is also a position of Krishna. And then Suridam Sarvabhutantu. So modern scientists, they are thinking that with this they are doing so much help to the humanity. Correct? They are like so selfless. Guru Maharaj also oftentimes said that the scientists, they are totally absorbed, totally means dedicated. They don't care for their personal, many times the comfort or joy, entertainment, you know, like common people. They are so much into their kind of lifestyle, so they can be considered as like very, you know, they are not expecting any kind of thing for them, because they're patient to do research, or patient to think very deeply about the material solution to the problems of this world. Correct? They are very much, they are not thinking for themselves, but they are thinking our engrossment, our becoming fully engaged in trying to find the solutions, making life more comfortable, the body, and bringing the peace to the mind and the disease and all these things. So their activities bind them, because they think they are so selfless. Correct? But just becoming selfless is not good enough, because the soul is not interested in just selfless seva, so-called nishkam, because the soul is always has the three faculties: feeling, willing, and doing. It has feeling, it has sankalpa shakti, it has willing, and it wants to do something. For what? To what end? It is also searching for the ultimate object of expression of feeling. You know, feeling is not for the sake of feeling. Feeling is feeling for what, willing for what, and doing for what. So there is always an object of service, and not finding. So the scientists, they think they are serving humanity and everything, but that won't suffice. That will not put them on transcendental platform. Their search, because these fundamental problems of life, becoming old age, disease, and death, these three things have been baffling them since eternity. And if they keep the hope that, oh, eventually, very soon we will get over this old age, disease, and death, we will make everybody immortal. So this is the ignorance of their to limit. So Krishna says when he describes 4 kinds of karma, so the karma of the scientists, they could be very selfless, but it does not help them transcend this realm of 3 modes of material nature. This realm of death, they are not able to transcend, because unless one desires for Krishna, mat kamartham tu nirgunam, madarpanam nishpalam va, even if someone becomes totally self-sacrificing for the benefit of others, even if he does, but if he does not desire for Krishna, so the actions done desiring to associate with Krishna, desiring to serve Krishna, so without this need of the soul, without addressing this, the work of modern science will remain always incomplete. So sooner one comes to this awakening or this knowledge, he will be on the path to become a saint. So it is a great responsibility on the part of you all, Bhaktivedanta Institute scientists, devotees, that you ignite this this need of the soul, desire for Krishna. That is a missing link. So one who is so much desiring to associate, to be with Krishna, to please Krishna, and that will be reflected in our attitude, in our speech, in our behavior, and then it will cause the influence on the modern scientists also. So possibility is there, although it is a very tough task. But think of you all coming from science background. Someone came in your life and something ignited your interest to become Krishna conscious. So in the same way, as a human being, it is a possibility for everyone. So we must remain hopeful, should not become hopeless, because if however dangerous or negative atmosphere, like Prahlad Maharaj, if Prahlad Maharaj could tolerate and can remain unperturbed and not becoming overwhelmed by the external situations, we can also have some hope. Our situation is not as worse, so we must continue our engagement and try to become the best example for the benefit of others through Krishna consciousness. All right?
Yeah, thank you, Maharaj. Excellent. Hare Krishna.
Achyut Keshav Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. All gracious Sasipa. Kahiye.
Maharaj, this when generally it is advised to the devotees that especially in this time, that if when we see the unfavorable condition, suppose we are preaching and the person is atheist, or it is also advised that we should not to give a message of Krishna consciousness to the atheist, because if he offends, then aparad will come on us or whatever. Or if the condition is not so favorable, we should leave the place instead of trying to correct the place or tolerate it. So, but if we see when the examples of many devotees, so sometimes they try to also rectify the person or try to tolerate. So in these two things are like little bit means completely in two opposite direction. No? Either you have to leave the place or you tolerate it. So but in now, especially when we are preaching or when we have the interaction with some people like this who are not so much, or he starts criticizing the whole process of Krishna consciousness or devotee or Krishna, whatever. So how in this time, means if we follow Prahlad Maharaj example, then we should tolerate it. Or if we follow the instructions of the present situation, then we should leave the place. If you can explain on this.
Well, we are only instrument of Krishna, correct? This thought should not be ever forgotten, you know. And we continue because Krishna wants his message to be brought across the conditioned souls. So one situation, one experience should not dissuade us. Oh, everybody is in Maya. Of course, everybody is in Maya. So one who has acknowledged that Maya is all surrounding soul, then, but the thing is, the time changes. No? With the change of time, Krishna is doing his part. The same person who may have been very negative, you know, if we sustained our fervor, we sustained our good attitude, positive attitude, you know, in due course of time, it takes time for people to see that somebody is working, somebody is really concerned about their well-being. You know, so it requires a lot of patience. It's not easy, and so Krishna wants to see how determined we are that this process works. People may show negative and insult or non-cooperation, opposition, all these things. You know, still we have to continue because we know that we are only the instrument. Krishna will do the needful, isn't it? Because the moment I think, oh, I did so much hard, and see what is the result. So again, we become the cripple-minded. You know, what is that? Phala hetavan. We should not hanker that fruit of our actions. We should use our intelligence to do the best under the circumstances, but let Krishna decide what he wants to accomplish through us. We will never claim as the doer or non-doer even. You know, I don't want to do it, or I want to do something. That is not the case. We are simply the instrument in the hand of Krishna and Sri Guru, and we have to sustain the fervor of remaining engaged. Again and again, we have to go to the marketplace, to the people. You know, those who were negative, as a human being, circumstances changes in people's lives, and the very people who opposed us, they will embrace us. So the hope should never be given up. All right.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you.
All right then. Hare Krishna.
Amrita Mataji.
Pranam Shri Guru Maharaj, Hare Krishna. Pranam all the Maharajas and devotees, and Hare Krishna to all. It's a really wonderful and amazing sharing, and especially many things are highlighting, especially that we are the importance of subserviency and acknowledging and not claiming that we are a pure devotee. Everything are so beautiful. And there is two questions. There are two questions. The first question is that, as you told that, of course, that there is a very wrong belief that in a material world, that if we will not love ourselves, if we will love ourselves, then only we can love others, and then only it creates a confidence in us, and every time if we feel dependent on others in any level, maybe it will be on emotional level or in financial level, then it will always create an obstacle to raise our confidence level. So we can see in there is a big difference between the earlier age and the modern age. In modern age, especially the girls, because they are always feeling dependent, that they are dependent at first on father and then on husband or brother or anybody, then they always feel dependent. So they always now they are trying to that, yes, we have to do ourselves own by own. And so then we will be feel that our confidence level will increase and we will not feel any dependency on others. But on the other level, the real in spiritual level, in spiritual world, we identify that the real confidence will grow, that real thing, that when we are taking shelter on Shri Guru Gaurang, and that time the real confidence will raise in our heart, because maybe the confidence which we are raising in material world, that will be fake, because in the situation, some situation, it will everything will be blessed, or maybe not in control. But when we are growing when we are just raising our confidence, and we feel that we are not ours, we are our Shri Gurus, we are Krishna's, then that type of confidence, that will always help us in any situation, maybe in any difficult situation, maybe as you say that it will not overwhelm us. Maybe some traumatic situation will also can arrive in our life. But then how the question is that how the transformation will take place, that the dependence on Shri Guru Gaurang is the real means to raise, to build our behavior, to raise our confidence. That's it.
Yes, that is the dependence of the soul. The other so-called dependence for the body or the mind, mind wants to become independent, because when one identifies with the body, and whatever bodily identity, which country or which place and community and all these things, so the struggle is always to establish on that self-improvement always, because self-love means self-improvement, and how much one improves on the bodily platform, still the inner unfulfillment remains, because the no improvement allowed or catering to the need of the soul. That's why the self-love, if it does not include loving the soul, if the self is misidentified as the gross body, this material body, and the mind and intelligence and all these things, without loving the soul ultimately, so the materialist, this example of self-love is only taking care of the body and the mind, and still so much focus, 100% focus on the body and the mind, and no idea, no thought of loving the soul, as if soul even exists. Total selfishness is based on the body and the mind only. That's why the inner unfulfillment, inadequacy, the problem is with us, because we are like fish out of water. Our shelter, dependence of the transcendental person or Krishna is very, very essential. Without connecting, we will never become sufficient. We will never feel enough, no matter how much accomplishment we have on the bodily or material aspect. The soul will find its satisfaction or sufficiency only when come under the shelter of Sri Guru and Krishna. Then it will realize what it is like loving the soul and not just the body and the mind. So that's the idea of you are not enough if we think of only the body and the mind. And soul and its need, it will never be addressed unless we come under the shelter of Sri Guru and Krishna. That's the idea.
Thank you very much, and it's nice. And the second question is that, yes, we should never feel insulted, though, because why? Because we are very small, so nobody can insult us. And and after becoming devotee or in this path, because our life is not our life, our life is completely in anyhow all the life is in hand of Krishna. But after devotion, after in this path, already we acknowledging that our life is incompletely designed by our Shri Guru Gaurang, and so there should be no complaint zone. Whatever situation maybe arrive in our life at any, we should accept that. But sometimes, and we should also never feeling any kind of hurt. But sometimes, if the behavior of someone creates hurt in our heart, then it means that we are not completely. There is a gap in our surrender to our Shri Guru. That though at this time of this level, though in now also we are feeling any type of hurt, if someone
Identity crisis, yeah, identity crisis is not resolved completely. On theoretical platform, on information platform, we idealize all these wonderful things that you are the spirit soul. But spirit soul is also a person. No? Soul cannot be, if the soul cannot be even noticed, soul cannot be pointed out where is the soul. How can anyone insult the soul? Soul remains untouched by it because of our association with matter. We think this body is me, this mind is me, my intelligence is me. The soul is totally untouched by the even the shadow of matter. There is no match. It's a total. But still, because of such a long association with the manifestation, Prakriti, Prakriti, comprising three modes. And the soul has associated with it, although it cannot mix, it cannot be touched by it, it cannot be pushed, or it can be, but still because of association, like Maharaj gives the example of that, the video game, because of associating with it, he loses oneself and identifies with the character. Character becomes him. So in the same way, the feeling is because of this misidentification, one remains trapped, and that trap causes him feeling insulted or hated or loved. All this duality is manifest. So when the true identity is realized only when coming under the shelter of Sri Guru and Gauranga. Then one can easily free from the previous, one can reflect back to how we reacted over different situations. So it's a self-analysis. As we marvel as we cherish our shelter of Guru and Krishna, then we can see how the transformation is taking in our lives. And the transformation should be kept on a progressive path, yes. Go all the way. Hare Krishna.
Beautiful. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. All right.
Dandavat Pranam Maharaj ji.
Then kahiye Maharaj, kuch kahiye.
What a wonderful class you have given. You have raised the bar for our minds which are wandering in the patala.
I'm trying to remind myself.
Our minds are wandering in the patala, but you have shown us the Brahmaloka, beyond that Brahma Jyoti, and beyond that Vaikuntha and Golok Vrindavan. So we pray for your blessings to truly imbibe that spirit of it is really tough. In practicality is zero. Very, very tough. I mean,
Yeah.
Most
Definitely 100% agree with you, Maharaj. But I like in your scientific background, the word term simulation is, I like it very much. Simulation means it's in contemplation. We must put ourselves, simulate those situations when somebody insults me or somebody takes away. How would I react? It's like preparing for any situation. So that awareness and things happen in life, that we don't panic. How to free ourselves from the possible would-be panicking situation? Only by the simulation of these experiences, so that when the such situation comes, we are prepared. We are just immune, like the vaccination. So this on this path, our contemplation is very, very critical. Apart from our casual engagement in devotional service, doing our scheduled chanting and this and that, this contemplation could be all the times. This will increase our awareness and readiness. Ultimately, if we can ask ourselves, am I all time ready fully? This question should pop in our thought. Am I fully ready? Am I fully ready?
May I add something to our Balram Prabhuji's question? Is Balram Prabhuji still there? Let me see.
Yes, Maharaj, actually, you are more suited to ask scientific, any question asked by the scientists.
No, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, very, very nice question. I am not even Patala. I am below Patala in the Narka.
Are you really? Or
So,
feel like?
our Balram Prabhuji's proposal is very good, that scientists are giving many instruments for us, which we use. Then why would we criticize scientists? We should be very happy and grateful. Of course, certainly we are very, very grateful to the scientists for what they have done. But we are not talking about the scientists who have given invention to the world. And generally, when our devotees talk about scientists, those who are using science to attack religion. I can give you a simple example, non-scientific example. Like a potter is there, right? He makes pots. Everyone uses. But one day he uses one of his pots to crash it upon the head of a person. Right? So we cannot say that we are all using pots, so now we cannot say anything negative about him. We have to say it is wrong what he's doing, though everybody is benefiting from the pots. what he has made. So when we speak about scientists, we are speaking about those who are using science to attack religion, because science does not deal with religion. So therefore, there is no question of attacking, and they should be happy if religions use the science to promote the religion. Science should be happy, just like a medical man is using science, just like an engineer is using science, just like any other person, like in metallurgy, blacksmith is using science. So similarly, the religions also can use science to advance religion. There is no problem. Because science doesn't directly talk about religion, or they can neither prove or disprove religion or God. And that is the boundary they have themselves put. They will not deal with the realities beyond what is observable and verifiable. But they themselves could not keep that promise. They are dealing with so many things which they cannot verify. But they have prejudice for religion. So the devotees talk about science, scientists. What is there is that those who are using religion, science to attack religion. In the past, there is religionists who have used religion to attack science. That's also wrong. Like some were killed, some scientists were killed. That is also wrong. Similarly, you cannot use science also to attack religion. Both can use one another. Science can use religion. Religion can use science. That is necessary. So, when devotees talk about scientists, underlying assumption is those who are using science to reject religion. That is not the purpose of science, to reject religion. Because science does not deal with all of our all the life, everything related to life. So we don't criticize scientists for what they have given. So science itself is a creation, right, by the scientists. Like the pots themselves are not cannot be criticized. Like science cannot be criticized, but we can criticize or correct the potter who is misusing the pots. Similarly, we can correct the scientists, or we can say it is not correct to use science against religion. That is, nowadays is becoming a fashion to have atheistic clubs and attack, right? any religious idea. That was not the purpose to attack religion. Science is to improve the lives. Religion also improves. So therefore, science should not be used to attack religion. Religion should not be used to attack science. They should go together. So that is our and science used in the glorification of the Lord is Harikirtana. Like a pot which is made as a mrudanga, it becomes Pakirtana.
Yes.
Right? Same pot you can use for cooking, but there is a potter who is using for making mrudanga drum. It becomes Kirtana, same pot. So science itself is neither good, bad, or anything. It is the scientist who is using it. How he is using it. He can also use science to create a virus and create a pandemic. He can also use a science to create nuclear bomb and attack. You can also use science to cure people and expand agriculture, protect people. You can also use science to glorify the Lord. So therefore, we, the devotees who are in science, they should set an example.
Yes.
Set an example how science should be used. Imagine a potter, a devotee is a potter. A devotee becomes a potter. He should set an example how a potter should use the pots. He should use for everybody, help everybody, and also create a drum for mridanga of the Lord. So we, those who are in scientific field, we should set an example how science should be used for welfare of humanity and also for the glorification of the Lord, not to attack religion. Religion is very important. For example, for climate, the United Nations, they don't know how to motivate the people. They have scientific theories, but don't know how to motivate the people. So they have come to the religious heads to motivate the people, because scientists don't understand life, how life, the dynamics of life. So religion is integral part of life. Faith is integral part of life, and scientists also use faith. They fail to understand that. Scientists also use faith. How many things that we study in textbook have we experimented in the lab? We just believe another scientist. So that is religion. Anything you accepted in the textbook without you yourself doing the experiment is religion.
Beautiful, beautiful.
So now you tell me how much percentage of a scientist is a scientist? How much percentage of scientist is a religion? Because somebody has tested something in Switzerland, Geneva, some big 20-kilometer long lab, some particle, I believe sitting here in India, in my home.
Blindly.
So am I a scientist? Am I a religion? Can I do that until I do experiment myself? That is religion for me. So scientists fail to acknowledge faith in science. So we are talking about those, that faith is integral to science also. Please open your eyes.
Mhm.
We cannot verify everything. If we start verify everything, we won't learn anything. You will be stuck in the Newton's age. You will never come to Einstein, relativity, nor you will go further to Bohr, quantum mechanics, and further to quarks. We will stuck forever in the Newton's age in mechanics, doing all the experiments, trying to verify everything. We will never make progress. So for humanity to make progress, faith is fundamental requirement. Science or religion. But in science, because everything, a lot of things you can verify yourself, you cannot attack religion. Religion also, there are verifiable things, but they are subjective. Subjective reality, science doesn't deal at all. Science deals with the easy reality, easy problems. Religion deals with the difficult problems. Consciousness, life, feelings, good behavior, bad behavior. There is no science how to make a good human being. We have good science to make a good fabric, but we don't have a science to make a good human being. So that is a bigger problem that science doesn't deal with. So we want to show that science is really useful, but it has its place. Science is not everything. There is religion, there is art, there is agriculture, there is Rajniti, good politics, not for gaining the position. So there are so many fields of human knowledge. Science is just one of them, and we can say easy part of them. Most of the science is very difficult, to make a simple painting or to play little mridanga. Very difficult. But it is very easy to make a person who is playing mridanga a scientist. We're teaching them some experiments. So science is dealing with the easy problems of life, easy part of the reality. Religion is dealing with the most tough part of the reality. That is our misbehavior. Life itself, the behavior and our consciousness is the most tough subject. So therefore, in Prabhupada's time, it is very rampant. Now it is literally becoming opening for religion. So we respect science, we respect scientists. There is no doubt about, don't have a doubt about this. But we object using science to attack religion. We promote using science for glorification of the Lord. We support and promote using science for welfare of humanity. We support and help research in these directions to help humanity. We encourage students to do good research. In order to good research, also you have to be good human being. You have to be really peaceful. That again comes from religion only. So science, religion, not attack each other. We have to help. Similarly, religion is not that we accept all religion. Anybody misusing religion, also we have to say no. So science, religion, both are good, but some scientists, some religious people, they misuse both. So that we have to be careful for both. Thank you very much, Maharajji and Prabhuji, for giving me audience a little bit more than expected, but anything wrong, please
Thank you.
forgive.
Maharaj, this is one of the most enlightening comments I had. So thank you very much for this excellent comment. Maybe comment of the year.
Yes, very good, very good, very good.
Thank you, Maharaj.
All your blessings, Prabhuji and Maharaj.
No, Maharaj, your blessings.
Basically, yeah, the endeavor in Bhaktivedanta Institute is just trying to enriching science, because the science or scientists, their whole concept of the field or the area of science is excluded the real science of life and soul. And that's why they are struggling. That's why they are. That's why I brought this example, that the solution to their insufficiency, or insecurity, is because they are so obsessed with their thinking that they know it all. Without bringing the connection to Krishna, connection to the source of everything and source of life, they will be baffled in their endeavors. And somehow this the concept of life as has been described in the Vedas, that has to be included in the total study of science. So science should not be left limited to the study of matter and these things. The soul or the life must become the subject of science. And that's why the purpose of our Acharyas, Sri Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj, that this Vedic science or the science of the soul must be honored and accepted as the new science, correct? The science, the so-called modern science, which has failed to address the real science of the life or the soul. The modern scientist or the science, total system science, so-called, must welcome this science of the soul as described in the Vedas and in the yogic system. And that's why the endeavor, our endeavor is to address this science of the soul. If the most important part of our existence is undermined and ignored and looked down upon, then no matter how much accomplishment is made in the modern science of matter and material happiness, and it will remain incomplete, insufficient. It will cause the anxiety and unfulfillment. So if the science has the promise to bring joy and upliftment to the humanity, then it must address address the need of the soul also. That is the endeavor of Bhaktivedanta Institute. Bring that connection, that union of the spirituality of science and the modern science. Science has to become wholesome. It must include the science or the study of of the soul also, the life also, along with the science of the matter. So matter and spirit, these are two energies of the Lord, and both have to be incorporated. Study of both have to be incorporated. The modern science is bereft of any knowledge, any information, any interest in the science of life and soul. And that's why how can science, the modern science can be considered very liberal? They are very cripple-minded. They should be, if they are really intelligent, they should welcome wholeheartedly so much subject matter described about the life and the soul and our true identity in the Vedas. So it's a very hard and tough work on part of Bhaktivedanta Institute, but this is the mission given to us by our Sri Guru and Param Guru. And we must continue our inexhaustible struggle to accomplish for their pleasure. Holy Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। समावेत निताई गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्रीपाद गुरु महाराज की जय। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि।
His Holiness Bhakti Swarup Govind Maharaj ki
समावेत गौर भक्तवृंद की जय।
jai.
जय। श्री गौरांग हरि श्री